how little we know, how deeply entrenched we are in the structures we were born into. These were never ours. We accumulated through the course of our literal physical existence, all of these. And we own them as ours, and therefore we have shame. Therefore we have doubt. There we have suspicion and distrust. There we have fear. We have future and past. There we have everything we've ever known in the entire course of this life. That there could be even a possibility of recognizing what you are beyond that is unspeakable, unbelievable. We would rather worship objects than that as a possibility. We'd rather live in some way that satisfies the ache or the anguish in us that lies deep in the very core of the organization of our separate self, which is basically a cry. A cry, as a baby has when it's separate from its mother, finds itself into an environment utterly different than the blood and the sensation and the self-nurturing structure of the mother's womb. Temperature regulated up to extremes where there's no difference between the body's temperature and the mother's temperature. The child is merged with the mother. The child has no other identity but as an extension of the biological process that produced that child. Every mother is this mother we speak of. Every mother is an expression of the evolutionary possibility of consciousness and existence, birthing within their own physical body, a separate collection of cells from the very beginning of evolution of the cells of the sperm and the ovum planted together, reproducing the evolutionary process that created humanity within itself. We are the creation coming into existence.
The journey of consciousness. We are all basically consciousness. Our original nature is pure, unadulterated truth, consciousness, presence. These are all words describing the same quality. But initially, consciousness had no identity, no sense of itself. It was pure, wide-open consciousness. It only began to experience itself when it descended out of its original quiescent condition into domains of greater and greater density of matter. Then it became identified with matter, forgot its original nature, and identified with each material form it merged with. At the culmination of this evolutionary process, it became a human being who woke up in matter, matter waking up to itself. Consciousness believes it is its thoughts, its body, its feelings, its sensations, its story, and its beliefs. Over many lifetimes, birth, death, birth, death. Eventually, this identification with matter gradually weakens until it begins to disengage.
This is what has happened to all of you. That the nature of the unfolding of yourself as a maturing adult and spiritual developing seeker is this recognition is that what we attend to is what we make real. And if we attend to our negative experiences, we make them real. We start living our miserable self. And if we attend to those expanding possibilities, we attend to that which inspires us or lifts us up, we move our life into that expanded possibility, and we begin to take actions aligned with that expanded possibility. It is therefore the part of ourselves that applies attention that we're looking to claim authority over, rather than let the mood, the feeling, the thought that our consciousness was embedded in before determine what we attend to. So this claiming ourselves, finding our own rudder, the steering wheel of ourself, we can then start creating a life through the application of our attention and action that can bring that possibility into existence. This is true in the practicalities of human existence, getting a job, creating a profession, staying true to a relationship, making a work of art, writing the book. It's a matter of a steady application of attention and actions aligned with that attention. This is the key to how the Bhagavad Gita empowers us to come into authority to shape the direction of our lives. This is the inherent power that we can use first to eradicate ourselves from what we have been absorbed in, not just attention, but have become. You can't know that your attention is absorbed in something you have become unless you find another place for your attention to stand, to perceive it. You can't change something from within the thing itself. You have to find that in you that can step out of it. And then you get some authority over that part of you that's absorbed. And you can see the consequences of that unconscious and automatic reactivity that keeps taking you down your rabbit hole. So basically, the Gita is taking you to a place pointing to something that you already have, but needs to become to a greater level of actualization than it can do by itself. We can't lift ourselves up out of our own bootstraps, because all we end up doing is becoming that which is lifting something up out of our bootstraps. We become that idea of ourselves as having redeemed ourselves or changed ourselves, and that will be good for a while, but it won't hold up, because you'll find yourself in the next level of what you're absorbed in. Perhaps the vision or the idea of myself as a healer, or as one who has redeemed themselves. These are all becomes another areas that the ego keeps laying claim to try to find a sense of safety, of okayness, of a artificial strength that's based on ideas or beliefs or other people. Very hard to come out of this. What happens is you'll have to find the source of your attention. And that is why the first teachings I have are meditation. Shut up, be quiet, sit still. Sit there long enough until you find that quietude. When you find that quietude, you'll find the capacity to find a new way of capacity to find a new source of attention than where you give it outside or inside into the story and the beliefs and the feelings and the sensations. This is the role of the guru. Guru itself is concentrated, focused consciousness. The transmission of any spiritual teacher is a focused form of consciousness coming through that form to whatever channel they have opened enough sufficiently. So when some can communicate, like me, through my words, some through their physical presence, some through their heart, some through their body, each of which is a means by which your own consciousness can be woken up into a higher frequency than it's habituated to, and for that period of time, be able to perceive the things that have absorbed your consciousness in other ways. This organization of your attention, this organization of your consciousness is the key of steady progress on the spiritual path. Meditation is one path. Selfless service is the other. Serving without an agenda. But where what you serve becomes critical. If you're serving the condition of suffering in other people that you have empathy with because it's your issue too, you're serving the suffering of the trauma of women who have been abused because you've been traumatized or abused, you're simply serving yourself. You're serving your own story. It's not enough. You have to serve without an agenda. So usually it means taking action where there's nothing you want to do. Taking action where there's nothing in it for you. Stepping into it, something that is an opportunity that you're repulsed by, and not just opportunities that you're attracted to. As a conscious sadhana, to discover what happens when you apply your attention to that which you resist. As a means of sadhana, to discover the resistance in order to free yourself from its convincing hold. How we learn to make progress on the spiritual path is not much different than someone becoming effective in a certain profession or a certain work. You end up inevitably encountering the things that you do not know how to be with, and then use that incapacity or resistance or whatever as a pathway to expand your ability to be with it. I know that was my truth for an architect. There were many, many times where I was ahead of myself as a necessary unfolding of my life in that profession. And every time I would step into that vulnerability and take the action anyway, I discovered a new capacity to step into reality and create a new capacity. And I became, and at multiple levels, a much more effective human being in existence through that process. The spiritual path is the same, but these are constructs that are not normally available to us to create for ourselves, and this is one of the reasons I create structure around me and the teachings that I teach, so that you can use these as a means to further perfect your attention. If the world can't do it for you, then at least in this journey, it can be found and met for yourself. Because if there's anything to be perfected in, is in the perfection of the possibility you carry as a divine being. Okay?
The Bhagavad Gita, the Song of the Supreme, begins at this point. It maps the spiritual journey wherein the human, with self-awareness, turns its attention inward to its source. It is a compelling story. It is truly a hero's journey of return to the source of what we really have been all along. The Gita describes the final stages of this dramatic story. It is our story. It is your story. But first, we must set the stage for the Gita by creating an overall context, which Sat Shree calls the journey of consciousness. We are all on a journey of consciousness, whether we know it or not. It begins with gaining information and insights into the nature and purpose of existence. We are all byproducts of an evolutionary process that has a beginning, middle, and end. But there are fundamental factors, forces, structures, and mechanisms that cannot be seen behind the veil of ignorance that shrouds us all.
Continue.
Knowing the nature of the journey and where you are on it will allow you to be a collaborator in this miraculous unfolding of our innate reality that we call life. All that we know, experience, and are is due to forces that have been at work since the beginning of time. We are all riding a current of becoming that is purposeful. It is the creative expression of the original intent, inherent in the unmanifest potentiality which some call God or truth.
The nature of the original intent, I believe I will speak of it soon. It's not an abstraction. It is there with you every day. You wake up in the morning, and perhaps you have something to do, so you don't know that you're waking up to bring forward something to meet the thing you have decided you had to do. That's your birthing action out of your sleep or your dream or your rest and coming into existence. This bringing yourself into existence, even when you don't want to, is an expression of something of this original intent with its own purposefulness, with its own need to come into existence, with its own actualizing potential, depending upon how capable you are of doing things or bringing yourself into the world when you don't want to. when it doesn't feel good, or when you feel tired, or when you feel it's not serving, or when you are in a condition of disorganization and you're trying to find some way to organize yourself. These are all birthings coming from a place that lies deep within us. It has its superficial expressions through our mind and through our vital and through the organization of our person in terms of what we've made important and how we've lived up to now and what our parents did and what society expects of us and all the rest of it. But it's always a birthing out of the primordial condition of animal consciousness that the body is into our existence as a human being. Carries with it a power of becoming, of waking up to life.